one voice, we are one. We will rise as one and stop the earth from weeping. We will rise as one and stop the earth from weeping. We will rise as one.
Hello there, welcome to Oversoul Truth Music YouTube channel. 10 out of 10. 10 minutes on a given subject, and we look to dive in deep to share conversation. This is why we appreciate you commenting. Let us know what you think about the topic that we're talking about. We also love it for you to like. We really love it for you to encourage, invite others, share this so we can have subscribers. Why? Because we're growing and we're looking to connect with more people, share messages of transformation, positive energy into our world, into our society. So the subject this evening is all about cultivating a cult-free thinking, or cultivating a cult-free mind. Now, that could be loaded with so many different ways of thinking. You may have particular images in your mind of a cult, what a cult is. But if we think of cult thinking, and I'm going to say it straight out of the gate as it's coming to me. I had a conversation right in the midst of the COVID pandemic, and I was at a meeting, and the individual said there, and I quote, it was just in conversation, very down to earth, hard-working individual, and he said, of course, this is a cult. So the COVID thinking that the majority of people were being led by, coming through mass media, was a cult. Now, I'll tell you exactly why that struck me, because I spent close to 30 years inside a cult, and having allowed myself, I take responsibility for that, to be indoctrinated into this cult. And in this moment, it was like a massive, ironically, revelation, light bulb moment went off to think, wow, what he said is so true. So that's why we're sharing liberation from and cultivating a cult-free way of thinking. Because there are so many ways that it happens. It can happen. There's a cult of thinking. Even, this may be controversial, but even within awakened communities, they are labelled by external sources as conspiracy theorists. Now, I'm not saying that this is a dark cult, but we can become very much into an indoctrinated and dogmatic way of thinking. What I refer to as institutionalized externalism. Now, when we experience isolation, which is a tactic of the system to divide us, to pocket us into different groups, sometimes we can experience, even within a perceived free, liberated space, our own indoctrination. That's coming to me now as well. We can actually, unintentionally, indoctrinate ourselves because we fall into that dogmatic trap of absolute definition. So what are some of the tactics? I'd be interested to know your thinking. What are some of the things that you've experienced in what you would consider to be indoctrination?
my name is Brooke Curran, and I am the founder and CEO of Creative Spirit Consulting. Throughout the past 20 years, I have experienced and learned much regarding branding. Branding is a powerful experience that every business requires, and branding is also an ever-changing experience. For example, are your print materials and your logo easily recognized as your brand? Have you invested in finding the perfect colors, fonts, tagline, and imagery that speak for your brand? These examples are the very reason why some companies are successful while others are not. At Creative Spirit Consulting, we provide great branding solutions by listening carefully to your needs. We pay attention to details resulting in designs that leave cohesive, professional impressions with customers, as well as great branding that leverages you for success. Creative Spirit Consulting also believes in serving our community. Art with Heart is our mission. Through the impact of design and the arts, Creative Spirit Consulting helps nonprofits and businesses grow and prosper. Together, we create a legacy of love and a better world for everyone. For more information, please view my design portfolio at creativespiritconsulting.myportfolio.com, or you can email me directly at creativespiritconsulting@earthlink.net. Thank you.
Let's rise as one. We will rise as one. We will rise as one. One voice, we are one. We will rise as one and stop the earth from weeping. We will rise as one and stop the earth from weeping.
I'd be interested to know your thinking. What are some of the things that you've experienced in what you would consider to be indoctrination? Now, it can come through the means of education, academia. It could possibly even come through the family. Hand on heart, I'll put that out there now. I know when I was in the sect, Jehovah's Witnesses, I indoctrinated my children. I'm not proud about that. I'm just saying that was part of the life that I lived then. Of course, that can have tragic consequences if we are endeavouring to convince people against their will. That is not a way to live. That is not a way to be. So how can we cultivate a cult-free way of thinking? Recognise that oftentimes when people are promoting fear, when they are promoting guilt, when they are promoting loss, these are three things that I feel are categorically ways of entrapping us into a way of thinking. When you think of the spirit of competition, there's very much within religious organisations a spirit of our belief is better than your belief. And ironically, it then becomes competition versus creation. The natural order of life is about flow, is about creation, creativity. We are creators. We are creators of our own life. We are creators of our own society. You could say, woo! No, that's not possible. You could say that. It'd be a bit of an unusual thing for you to say, but you could say that. But of course it's true. Yes, we have a system that surrounds us. And yes, we have certain impositions placed on life. but only those which we allow. So that's where I go back to. My indoctrination within the cult Jehovah's Witnesses was my own responsibility. But I can now see the tactics of fear, Armageddon, the end of a system, this system being governed by an evil force, guilt. What about your life? What about the life of your loved ones? Loss. If you don't comply and conform to this way of being, you won't be able to see your friends and family. And that through the action of disfellowshipping, alienation, disconnection, isolation. You can substitute cult, Jehovah's Witnesses, for COVID. Or even in a relationship, where in a relationship somebody is manipulative, mind controlling. Oftentimes fear, guilt, loss will be three of the tactics that will be used. When we think about it, competition, brands, religions effectively have become, many of them, most mainstream religious organisations. Our religion is better than another. And I know some organisations practice interfaith, but I can definitely 100% categorically say from experience, Jehovah's Witnesses refer to themselves as the truth. When individuals look at others in life and think their life cannot be complete without having the prescription, there's another tactic of cultism. Prescribing. You cannot be complete without this. If you don't believe this, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, God, whatever the belief is, if you don't have that, you cannot be complete. Your life is not complete. I feel sorry for you. That's what many religions preach. Substitute that now for COVID. It's the same. It's the same. You cannot be complete without this prescription. Can you see how insidious, ironically, these things are? The Latin word insidious actually is used in scripture as well. In Ephesians 6:18, I think, I'm relying on memory there, but it talks about the crafty acts of the devil, the machinations, it says in some renderings, but insidious, crafty. Well, that's a tactic that many use. It's used in mass media, it's used in education, it's used in religious institutes, it's used basically to cover it all in the establishment. So can you now see the connection? And also answer, please, give us some ideas how you feel that you are free, you are liberated from this cult way of thinking. Because you have courage. You are worthy. You are the gain of your life. This is the message we really want to share in conclusion. Many people talk about truth, and knowing truth, knowing this system is corrupt, knowing there's an elite, a cabal, there are people behind the politicians, they're just the puppets. Knowing that isn't enough. It is not enough. We are not here to live in the darkness, in the shadows. We're not here to hide in the woods. We're not here for that. We're not here to run. Run if you want to run to enjoy running. If you want to run through the fields, fine. Because the greatest fear of all, and that which holds everybody entrapped, is what is known as death. And the reason I explain it that way is because how do we know? We see this as being an end of life. How do we not know that it's actually a beginning of life? That may be controversial. Can you see now that we're sharing a message? This is not anti-spiritual. That's another thing. Labeling, very, very common. We are sharing a message of liberation. We are here in this current form to live. So even within awakened communities, we share this message out to you. We're not hiding in the shadows. We're not here to live in the darkness. Yes, we're not going to plug into this matrix-like system. However, there are alternatives. There are other options. There are ways to be other than the duality. There's another tactic. Sheep, goats, heaven, hell. It comes into political parties too. Labour, Conservative. No, there are so many other options. That's the simple message here. Avoid the thought of you are this or you are that. We are here to live a vibrant, energetic, connective life. And if we cannot live that to the fullest extent possible, then we must question. We must question. So let's join together. Let's be a combined force for transformational change. Not necessarily changing the system, it's corrupt. Making our own. Making our own society. Connect here. Remember, comment, like, subscribe, share. We want to share you. We want to promote you. So you, a growing business, somebody who has a social reform cause, connect with us, subscribe to this channel, and we will share a promotional video of you. It's all about us. Oversoul Truth Music YouTube channel. One voice, we are one. Look forward to connecting with you next time.
No evil, you need to know evil to truth see. Unbelief we must reconcile. See, hear, and speak. See, hear, and speak. No cause greater than to sing one voice, we are one. Love is strong, is never weak. Hear liberty, see divine hope, open up and cry out. See, hear, and speak. No blind light to lose your way. No deaf ear to truth.